Hello, hello. Welcome to another live. As always, I'm Che, the social media manager here at FPA. And joining me today for their episode of Philadelphia Revealed is Michaela Prell, our very own operations manager and archivist. It sounds like you're like Indiana Jones. I love that.
Yeah. That's what I do all day with my little brush, uncovering stories.
Uncovering stories. Oh, look at that. It goes deeper than I thought. I love it.
Oh my gosh, they weren't just sad, they were depressed.
Yeah, but Michaela, you actually, just get right into it. You actually had your own episode of Philadelphia Revealed dropped today. I listened to it.
Thank you.
Real quick, for those of you, every week, for those of you who don't know, we, since August, oh no, my gosh, since July, a new episode has dropped every Wednesday as part of Philadelphia Revealed. We've partnered with the Atwater Can exhibit, Drexel, WHYY to put out these episodes where we had 10 storytellers, walk around the exhibit, the Atwater Can exhibit, and find artifacts that spoke to them. Yours was, as they call it, the penultimate. The second to last.
Yes.
Sort of, because our last episode will be next week, but your episode just dropped this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about it and what inspired it.
Yeah, so I actually ended up being on the tour of their archives. Sort of because they needed someone for the folks who were joining virtually. So I walked around with a giant iPad so that people who were joining virtually could see everything that was going to be in the exhibit.
I love that.
But that means that I got to see everything. So when we needed another storyteller, I was able to talk about one of the objects there that I remember being on the tour and being like, oh, maybe that's what I would tell a story about.
Okay.
And so this object is an old doll. This old doll that has a collection of over 100 bespoke clothing. And the owner of the doll had all of this clothing made for it. It wasn't sold for it. Like if you got an American Girl doll and you were like, I want my American Girl doll to have a luxurious wardrobe, you would go on AmericanGirlDoll.com and purchase all of those. They didn't have that back then. So the owner of this doll, Flora, went to presumably a tailor.
Yeah, like I was saying, like a seamstress or something.
And said, hello, please make these clothes for my doll.
For an 18-inch doll, please make, I want this. Yeah. I recently went to France, so I have this idea for a gown or something.
I think there are roller either skates or blades.
Oh my gosh.
Or ice skates. There's some form of skating outfit. It's very cool.
And what was great was this was mid 1800s, I think just before the Civil War kind of thing was. Well, I remember the poem that's associated with the doll.
Yeah.
Which that was it's funny because I was listening to the story and I was like, oh look, this is the first IP intellectual property. Oh, this has a book that's tied to it.
Yeah.
So let's sort of have some dolls, even though they weren't mass produced. This was porcelain that was specifically made, but it was the first IP property to be tied to one of the first ones.
Yeah, it's unclear. I think if the doll owner loved that story so much that she made that doll that, or if the doll was sold as this is the character from the book. But the book actually started as a weekly series in a newspaper, and then that was so popular that they turned it into a book.
And then the book inspired the dolls, and it's just wow, we have been doing this for 200 years.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I feel like there are lots of people who have series that they then turn into books.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but that's what it is now. I know a lot of people who work in in those kinds of worlds. You can't bring anything unless it has already intellectual property tied to it. So you're oh my gosh, it's. But I also I loved your breakdown of the poem and the way it was oh, there's a lot of sexism here, and there's a lot of things that just reads. For the time it's changed, but then when they gave the background that it was actually to make fun of the excess of the Gilded Age.
Yeah.
And I was oh, okay.
When I was reading it initially, I was I can't tell if this is satirical or if this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of satire is like that.
Yeah.
I remember so I got to study like satire at one point in college, and we talked about like I think Stephen Colbert is a good example of a satirist.
Yeah.
Where like there would be, because like his thing used to be that like he was sort of a conservative news reporter.
Yeah.
And there were cases of like people on the far right watching it and being like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And him kind of being like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to make fun of y'all.
Yeah.
And so it walks this very fine line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, that like, yeah, just seeing the way they were making fun of the rich and the excess back then. But specifically, because you and I don't know, your story really reminded me of something that I'm going through right now, like trying to not get back to childhood, not the nostalgia thing, but trying to like figure out who I was back then. And like, there was a time in myself where I've changed to a person I didn't like.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to before those years that I didn't like myself, to sort of be like, well, and I'm also having a reliving through toys and things like that. And so, yeah. So how was it for you, like finding that in an adult that you've recently refound?
Yeah, I know. I feel like a lot of people have this sort of like, you kind of want to make your younger self proud.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm hearing from what you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel lucky in that like my parents didn't move around a whole lot and still live in the house that we lived in since I was 12. And so there's a lot there that I can like go back and find if I want to. Unfortunately, it's all in like a stuffy, non-air conditioned attic. So it's like really too much work to do that. The
moths are literally eating away at your history.
Yeah, but like it is possible if I want to do that. Yeah, and it was like kind of on a whim that I like went back to find this doll. I'd been thinking about it. And yeah.
The way you told the story, and I just have to tell you, you did a great way of like, for me personally, I felt like you echoed through your life in such a way, like I don't know, just in a few words, I saw like 5, 10, 15, 20-year-old Michaela just seeing that doll and the way it's changed for you.
Yeah.
I love the way you did that. Like you just moved us through time so well.
Thank you.
And like when you found that doll, I felt sad for every single version of you finding that doll.
That.
Yeah.
I feel so. I've worked at First Person Arts for just under 4 years now, and it's really cool to be on this podcast with a bunch of other storytellers who I am like a big fan of. When I started at First Person Arts, a lot of what I did right off the bat, and this was during quarantine, mind you, so I was alone all day. Well, I was actually at my parents' house all day. And a lot of what I did to familiarize myself was just pouring through all the videos that we have on YouTube. So a lot of the people who are on this, like, they were my introduction to First Person Arts, to sort of storytelling the way that we do it. And I like really spent hours with like Martha Cooney and Nick Cupsey and probably Neil, and just like listening to like the years of them performing on our stage. So it's like very cool to be on a podcast series with the people who in some ways I think taught me how to be a good storyteller, because I just absorbed it for years. I mean, this is my first time really telling a story at First Person Arts, and I kind of remember like at one point being like, I don't ever want to tell a story unless I'm going to do a really good job of it. Because it is an employee.
I feel like same here.
Setting the example.
More eyes are on me.
Like sat at the back of the stove and let everything simmer for a while. And then there was like a chance for me to tell a story, and I was like, okay, I can do this one.
And what is cool is like, actually, you know, you're right. Like doing the story, like hearing all the stories together and knowing the storytellers, I'm like, oh, I have learned some things from Neil and some things from Jamie. And then, you know, from you, like the way you move time along, I'm going to take that with me, because whenever I tell a story, I get stuck in time. Like, I don't know how to move it forward, but you such a great job of just moving us along that I'm going to take that with me.
Thank you.
Seriously. So please check out Michaela's episode, wherever you get your podcast. And check out the Philadelphia Revealed exhibit. It's open now until December. So yeah, you guys can go check it out.
I didn't know that my picture would be in the exhibit. Like near Flora, my object, there is a little plaque that's like, and listen to Michaela's episode. And then there's like a picture of me.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in an art exhibit or a history exhibit.
Yeah, it's a history exhibit. Yeah.
So cool.
We are history.
Yeah. Check it out. Look for everyone's little plaque.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michaela. Have a good rest of your
Thanks.
day. Guys, that was Michaela. Please check out their episode, like I said, on WHYY's website or wherever you get your podcast, Philadelphia Reveal the Podcast, and check out the exhibit as well. It's going on now, and what's even great is that PAFA actually has a few free museum days for their different exhibits, one of them being the Atwater Ken exhibit, September 26th or 27th, October 6th, and November 24th. You can check all that out on PAFA's website below. And let's see what else we got. As you guys know, next week we have our Story Slam already next week, September 10th, with host Dixie De La Tour. Is going to be at World Cafe Live at 7 p.m. September 10th. You can get 25% off your tickets with code Dixie. So all that information is right there. And I'm actually telling a story. I actually got together with Dixie for a coaching session, and I have to say roses to Dixie. She is a fantastic coach who really taught me how to tell a story that is enough distance from me where I feel comfortable enough saying it and that the audience doesn't feel the hesitation, especially when it comes to SexFile, a very personal topic in all of our lives. So Dixie did a great job of helping me find a story that I was comfortable with and how to get it down to 5 minutes and how to give details that make the audience go, I know what he's saying. So really, I can't wait for you guys to come out September 10th, hear not just my story, but all the stories that Dixie helped, come together. So I really appreciate all of her help. And also tied into the Atwater Ken exhibit, we'll be doing a Saturday night at the museum live there at PAFA at the Atwater Ken exhibit. Me and my co-host, Alyssa Alduki, always the bestie. We're going to be walking around, interviewing people, helping them find their stories. Alyssa and I are going to be finding our own story. And then we're going to do like a sort of late night show in the auditorium where we're going to talk to storytellers you've heard on the podcast. We're going to talk to, people involved in the museum so we can learn more about the history of the museum and the pieces in there themselves. And then, like I said, you hear the story that Alyssa and I found while walking around. We have all these events up on firstpersonarts.org. We also have all of our events, a few events, not all of them, because we're still putting so much together. So don't take that one too seriously. Some events are already until December up on our website. StorySlam we have coming up and other things. So please go to firstpersonarts.org/events to see what's already up. But always continue to follow us on our social media channels because we're going to be posting a lot of exciting things that are going on from now till the new year and beyond. So please follow us on all social media channels if you don't. And that's going to be everything for today. I really appreciate Michaela coming on and talking about their episode. Please check it out. And check out all of our events, our Story Slam, our event at the Atwater Ken exhibit for PAFA. Like I said, all that you can find that at firstpersonarts.org. Yeah, we'll be back next week. Also, we did get your message. We put up a poll to ask our audience when would be the best time of day to do these lives. We got a few responses back. So we're going to start moving around the times, playing around, see what works best for you guys. So look out for more information on when the lives are going to move from 11:30. For right now, we'll still continue 11:30, but pretty soon we're going to start moving it. So we'll keep you all informed on that. We're listening to what you're saying, and we're bringing you the programming and, the events and the kind of lives that you want to see. So we appreciate all of your feedback. And if you haven't done already, also, we want more feedback on the upcoming season. So go to our website, or you can go to link in bio to fill out the survey. So we just want to know what you think, what inspires you, and how we can always, improve our programming. All right, that's everything we have for today. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.